Can expats afford to live in the Philippines with such high inflation? Stick around, let's take a look. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is July 3rd, so it's right in the middle of your 4th of July weekend if you're in the United States. Hope you're having a good weekend. I wanted to say thank you to all my subscribers and everyone that views. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Today I wanted to go over the big news going on all around the world. That's been going on for a little while, and that's inflation. In videos I did earlier in the year, when inflation was starting to, get bad around the world, I mentioned that I didn't see a big increase in items here. A little bit here, a little bit there, a few pesos, this and that. Not enough to really affect me much. Of course, now for the amount that I have here, it wasn't a big deal. Of course, for the locals, every peso counts, and inflation is definitely difficult for them. But I'm going to speak to expats here because that's what the channel is basically about. Now, over the last couple months, especially in June, I started noticing a good increase on prices for things, okay? Much more noticeable. And most of that is going to be food and fuel prices. Now, fuel prices have been up a bit, for a few months now here. But now it's definitely, up there pretty high. And food prices, definitely. That's what I'm noticing now is the food prices. Where before it was just a few pesos, now it's more than a few pesos. A lot of items, depending on where they're coming from, if they're imported, they're 30, 40, 50 pesos more for an item. And even the simple stuff from local is, sometimes 5 pesos, even 10 pesos more. So it adds up. It's definitely adding up. But also at the same time, if you are on YouTube and social media, Facebook groups for expats and that, you've got I call them the doom and gloom group, okay? And, everything is negative to them, just everything. Now, of course, nobody likes inflation, but these people are exaggerating things out. If you listen to some of them, they're trying to tell you that everything is double price here and you can't afford to live in the Philippines anymore and all this kind of nonsense. And it's really nonsense, okay? And where are you going to go to get away from inflation? Everywhere around the world has it. And now another thing you must understand about inflation, here the last number was from May, and it was 5.4% over last year. Now the U.S. I think is 8.6, something like that. The June numbers haven't come out. Same way here, the June numbers haven't come out. Probably going to be higher. Probably looking at 6% here. But now you can't compare that same 6% because that's on peso. So if you're coming out of a Western country with exchange rates anywhere between the mid-30s to up into 60, depending on what country you're from, that 5.4%, like I said, is based on peso. You're getting a higher exchange rate, a much higher exchange rate. And so that brings that number really down for you. That doesn't mean, it's a good thing, but I think we could say that it's easier for us expats to weather the storm a little better. Okay, certainly it's not going to be easy if your money comes from pesos, okay? So that's the first thing to look at. Now, of course, depending on what country you're coming from, your exchange rate could be lower. I believe it's Canada and Australia. The exchange rate is in the mid to high 30s for them. So it's not quite as good. If you're euros or sterling dollar, sterling pound, I'm sorry, excuse me, they're up there pretty good. They always have been. Now, those exchange rates have not seen much of a change recently. They've gone up a little bit, down a little bit. They're pretty much staying there. But now, for the U.S., now, the U.S. is having a real good time right now as far as exchange rates. It's been climbing, really well. Currently, it's 55, and that's about a 17-year high when you look at that. So we're weathering it rather well. In fact, I'll say you're still making money off of where we were, just say, a year ago. Okay, to give you some numbers, 14 months ago or so, May of 2021, the U.S. exchange rate was 47 and a half, and now it's 55, just 14 months later. The first of the year, it was about 51, so even from the first of the year, it's up. And then you get people that say, oh, that's just a few pesos, but come on, people, pull out your calculator and take a look, okay? Your average, I'll say average, and just to use an easy number to go by, is 2,000 USD a month income coming in here. That's about what I get. You use your calculator, you can figure out that you're making pretty good on that. Now, how much has things gone up? I'm looking at, it's kind of hard to nail down the numbers in that, but I'll probably say compared to even the first of the year, I would say I'm probably paying about 3,000 pesos more per month for food. I don't use a lot of gasoline. We don't take the car out too much. And we have electric trucks that we use for all of our running around here. So I don't have a big gasoline bill. Now, if you have a gasoline bill or diesel, of course, that's going to be up even more. To be conservative with the number, I would have to say, for most expats here, you're probably seeing 3,000 to 5,000 more a month. I don't think it's going over that too much. And it all depends on your lifestyle, where you get everything from. Like I said, I'm seeing it all across the board. And, I've said before in my budget videos, we buy a lot of our dinners. We get delivered from restaurants around here, from Grab, and I like to use Food Panda. Their prices are up. And, of course, the delivery fees are up also because of fuel costs. So everything is up. So I'll throw those numbers out there, 3,000 to 5,000. That's probably a little bit above. But now let's sit down and take a look at the what you're making. Now, granted, this is mostly directed at U.S. expats, okay, because of the exchange rate going up right now. Now, most of my viewers on here are from the U.S., and most of them are up near my age. And I get that from the analytics page on YouTube Studio. I pretty well know who my audience is. So, not trying to exclude everybody from other countries and that, but mostly focusing on the larger part of my viewers. A lot of you are getting Social Security. So let's look at a typical scenario for someone with Social Security at $2,000 a month, and you were getting this, say, December of last year, just 7 months ago, and you were getting $2,000 a month. And at that time, the exchange rate was 51. Not bad exchange rate. It's pretty good. Anytime it's near 50, that's a pretty good one. Oh, got a photo bomber. This is our newest rescue cat. Hey, say hi. No? Okay, go. That's number 7. I can't afford more cats. Anyway, so back to it. December of last year, 2021, Social Security expat here is getting $2,000 a month. And at that time, we had an exchange rate of 51 to 102,000 pesos. Pretty good. You can live, pretty well on that. Now, of course, January, you get the COLA, the cost of living increase. And because of the inflation last year in the United States, we got one of the biggest ones we've got in 40 years, and that was 5.9%. So, that's for that, that's, maybe $120 increase that he got the next month of January of this year. So now he's at approximately 108,000 a month. He got a 6,000 peso increase. Well, that's going to help, fend off the inflation that's been going on all year. A big help. Now, here we are at halfway point of the year, but let's project on to January of next year, okay? Now, these are all projections, but it looks like we're going to get a much higher cost of living increase come January because of the inflation in the United States. It's looking like somewhere around 9%. And, it is projected, but it looks like it's going to be there. We're in that 3-month period right now, the third quarter, that they determine how much that's going to be. So July, August, September, those are the key months. So if it stays pretty much the way it is in the U.S., probably is going to go up just a little bit. We're probably going to see anywhere between 8.5 and 9% increase. And that's going to be one of the largest, probably the second largest ever in the history of the COLA. Okay, so come January, now he's going to get, say, if it's 9%, that's like $180. And the exchange rate is also projected to go higher. It's at 55 now. They're projecting 58, maybe by the end of the year. We'll see how that goes. But I'm going to use a number of 56. Let's say it goes up one more to 56. And he's got that COLA. He got the COLA at the start of this year. So over a 14-month period of time, 13-month, 14-month period of time, this same guy that was getting 2,000 is now getting 2,310 and a higher exchange rate. So now come January, he's getting 129,000 pesos. Okay. Let's say it's worst case scenario on the inflation here and the cost, and he's got a big family to feed, so a lot of food, and he drives an SUV or a big van, and he has to drive a lot of miles into the city because he lives out in the province, so he goes through a lot of fuel for his vehicle. Okay, so worst case scenario, his cost is 10,000 more a month. Okay, but now he's getting, 27,000, 26,000 more a month, from his income. So even with inflation, you're still pocketing money. So it's kind of hard to sit here and listen to the doom and gloomers and that everything is terrible. You can't afford to live in the Philippines anymore. A lot of that is nonsense. Some people are going to be unhappy anywhere. Maybe these people haven't been listening to the news and understand how bad it is back in their home country, especially if it's the U.S., where cost is just, out of control. So anyway, bear in mind, You have to use your BS filter with a lot of things that people say on social media, whether it's Facebook groups or even YouTube. You know, think with a clear head and sit down and look at the numbers yourself. And now to keep in mind, you may not be coming here for a couple years, and the situation is going to change. The same formula that I'm looking at and the same things I'm looking at right now in this video are the same things you should be looking at prior to coming here in, say, 1 year or 2 years when you're getting ready to come here. Look at the exchange rates. Look at where they are. Look where your COLA is. Look where the inflation is here. Now, the thing about inflation is when things settle down and prices stop rising, they don't normally go back down, unfortunately. Competition might drive it down just a little bit, but probably not too much. Fuel prices will probably come down a good bit, but probably won't get back to the, for a long time there it was 50 pesos per liter. Now it's 85, I think is what they say the average is. And so depending on where you're at, you're paying more than that. In town here the other day, I saw 77 or 78. So 85 is, I believe they're calling that the average price. That'll probably come back down. Like I said, I don't think it'll go back down to the 50. So that's the problem, is that prices never go back down that much. So it's probably what we're going to be living with is these new prices. And that's true just about anywhere. But fortunately, your COLA, your Social Security doesn't go down, it only goes up. But most of the time, those Social Security increases were 1.5%, 1.7% a year. I remember years ago it went up 2.8%, and it was like, ooh, that was fairly good back at that time, because most of them, like I said, were 1.5, something to that nature. So all of those things you got to look at. So again, do your research. That's going to be the best way for you to prevent a problem. With setting up your budget when you're coming to live here. But, like I said, the doom and gloomers will put doubt in everyone's head. And it seems to be kind of a sport here for people, expats, to complain. It boggles the mind, the amount of it that you see here. So be careful what you listen to. It's almost comical at sometimes when you see people go off on stuff. I mean, I quit listening to people years ago when I saw a guy write this long rant on a Facebook group about banana ketchup. That's right, banana ketchup. I had to read it 2 or 3 times to make sure I wasn't missing something, but this guy just went on and on and on about banana ketchup. Well, it's either you like it or you don't. But this was a long rant. And of course, a few people like me chimed in with a comment and said, well, you can always buy the imported one that tastes just like back home. Well, my God. Well, that sent him off on another rant about the cost of imported foods and how that's such a ripoff to pay for imported foods. But it's like, at what point did you not understand the word import? Okay. So, like I said, that's when I quit listening to people too much. So just be forewarned. That's what I'm trying to say. Be forewarned about all these people. Okay, and I'm not saying that everything is great, but I don't know of another place I'd want to be right now than here in the Philippines with all of this going on in the world right now. And that's my 2 pesos today, okay? We'll see how it goes. And I'll be back to you here again soon, maybe next week, with another video, and I hope you tune in. And thank you all so much, and I do hope you enjoy your holiday weekend. Bye.